The westward expansion of the United States between 1803 and 1890 was a period of rapid territorial growth, economic transformation, and cultural change, driven by the belief in manifest destiny, the idea that Americans were destined to expand across the continent. It all began in 1803 with the Louisiana Purchase, when President Thomas Jefferson acquired a vast territory from France, doubling the size of the country. This led to the famous Lewis and Clark expedition, which set out to explore the newly acquired lands, aided by the Shoshone interpreter Sacagawea. As settlers pushed westward, conflicts arose, particularly with Native American tribes who had lived on these lands for centuries. The War of 1812 weakened many native nations allied with the British, making it easier for the U.S. government to expand into the Old Northwest. Under President Andrew Jackson, the infamous Indian Removal Act of 1830 forced thousands of Native Americans off their ancestral lands. This led to the tragic Trail of Tears, in which entire tribes, most notably the Cherokee, were forced to march westward under brutal conditions, with thousands dying along the way. Meanwhile, tensions with Mexico were escalating. In 1836, Texas won its independence from Mexico after a dramatic struggle that included the famous Stand at the Alamo. In 1845, the U.S. annexed Texas, leading to the Mexican-American War, 1846–1848, which ended with the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. As a result, the United States acquired a vast swath of land, including California, Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, Utah, and parts of Colorado and Wyoming, a territory known as the Mexican Cession. Just as Americans were celebrating this new acquisition, gold was discovered in California in 1848, sparking the gold rush. Thousands of people, known as 49ers, rushed westward in search of fortune, accelerating California's statehood in 1850. At the same time, pioneers braved the Oregon Trail, enduring disease, starvation, and attacks to settle in the lush lands of the Pacific Northwest. The expansion was further fueled by the development of the Transcontinental Railroad, completed in 1869, which made travel across the country faster and safer. The Homestead Act of 1862, signed by Abraham Lincoln, provided 160 acres of free land to settlers willing to farm it for 5 years, encouraging waves of families and immigrants to move west. However, this relentless push into native lands led to the Indian Wars, a series of violent conflicts between the U.S. Army and indigenous tribes. One of the most famous battles was the Battle of Little Bighorn in 1876, where Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse led the Lakota Sioux to a stunning victory against General George Custer. But resistance could not hold back the tide of expansion. The tragic Wounded Knee Massacre of 1890, where hundreds of Lakota men, women, and children were killed, marked the end of native armed resistance and symbolized the close of the American frontier. By 1890, the U.S. Census Bureau officially declared that the frontier had disappeared. The country had stretched from coast to coast, bringing with it new states, booming industries, and a strengthened sense of American identity. However, this expansion also came at a great cost, particularly for Native Americans, whose lands, cultures, and lives were devastated. The westward expansion shaped the nation's character, reinforcing the ideals of self-reliance and progress, but also leaving behind a complex and often painful legacy.